Welcome! I got something special for you today. I've been with Infiniti about 20 years, and one of my favorite products all time from Infiniti is the FX series, which evolved into the QX70. This is a 2016 QX70 Sport that we recently acquired, and this is a beautiful example. This thing is just an amazing shape. It has 84,000, close to 85,000 miles, but man, this thing looks like and drives like it has 40,000 miles on it. I love this product so much so that I actually have one myself. I have a 2013 FX37, pretty much the exact same thing aside from the name. In 2013, they called it the FX series, but in 2014, Infiniti decided to confuse everyone and revamp all their model names, so the FX37 became the QX70. And this is a beautiful one-owner clean Carfax example. In fact, it was purchased new at our store. I'm going to call out some people who comment on our YouTube page. I had one guy who was saying, oh, I see these beautiful videos on these QX70s and then, oh, it's 3 years old. I can't buy that car anymore. Well, this is your chance to get a beautiful example. This is fresh pickings, new inventory. So right when this video posts, you have a chance of getting your hands on a beautiful QX70 in case someone else beats you to the punch. In fact, if I didn't already have one myself, I would be all over this thing. I would have bought this thing already. This thing is that nice. Its original color was silver on graphite, but it has this really beautiful graphite wrap on it. They did a great job with the wrap. Some wraps can be kind of chintzy looking. They did an awesome job with this one. We're getting compliments everywhere. And this one has a sport package, which really makes a big difference as far as the features go. We have the original build sheet on this one. Look at the original MSRP. Back in 2016, this thing was $57,000. If you adjust for inflation, there's been a lot of inflation in the early 2020s. This would probably be close to $70,000 in today's money. Built and assembled in Japan, this has amazing build quality. Not all Infinitis, not all Japanese vehicles are made in Japan these days, but the QX70 was. You could almost call this like a Japanese Porsche Macan. This thing is a true sport utility vehicle with an emphasis on sport. It actually is built on the same platform as a Nissan 370Z. The engine, suspension components, transmission, a lot of DNA you find in the Nissan 370Z is also shared with this QX70. So we have the premium package. That was pretty common, $4,300, but the real special one, so the real key is this sport package, $3,550. That gives you these really nice 21-inch 6-spoke dark finish wheels. I'll show you those shortly. They look fantastic. Aluminum roof rails, fog lap surrounds, outside mirror housing, side air vents, lower side moldings, and trunk finishers, all with a dark finish. Then we have the interior contrast stitching, really nice. Then we have a dark headliner, climate controlled front seats. So the front seats are heated and air conditioned. So when you put the air conditioned seats on, there's a little air conditioning unit under each front seat and it will circulate cool air. Feels amazing on those hot muggy days. I use it all the time. Drivers and front passenger seat sport seats, so you have extra bolstering in the seats to hold you in place during performance driving. That also comes with the sport package. Then we have adaptive front lighting system, so the headlights will turn in the corners for better nighttime visibility with auto leveling headlights. Then we have these really nice solid magnesium paddle shifters. And then we have aluminum pedals down there, kind of hard to see. I'll show you when I get outside the vehicle. So that's all the stuff you get with a sport package, and it's well worth it. Outside and inside, it makes a big visual appeal. And I remember when these things, we were still selling these things brand new. I was kind of getting in fights with some people on our YouTube page. You know, when these were brand new, they were calling them dated. Infiniti needs to update them and stuff like that. Well, Infiniti did update the product. They basically replaced the QX70 and the QX50 with the brand new QX50. So this rear-wheel drive, made in Japan, 3.7 liter V6 powered sport utility vehicle was placed with a new crossover built on a front-wheel drive platform. The only engine available is a turbocharged 4-cylinder with a CVT transmission. Great for fuel efficiency, and don't get me wrong, I'm kind of being facetious, but the new QX50 is a fantastic vehicle. It's much more fuel efficient, it has a lot more tech, a lot more updated styling versus this older QX70. But the one thing that QX50 doesn't have is the sports car pedigree that this QX70 has. This thing is just so much fun to drive. It has an amazing all-wheel drive system. You can also get these in rear-wheel drive, but with all-wheel drive, you have the amazing Tesla all-wheel drive system that we find in many performance Infiniti products like the Q50, the Q60, G35, G37 have all had the Tesla all-wheel drive system. In fact, that originated from the R32 Skyline. It's a racing-inspired all-wheel drive system that helped lead the R32 Skyline to racing success in the Japanese touring car series. We've been using that all-wheel drive system in our Infiniti product for about 20 years. It's amazing. I'll tell you more about that shortly. And I can tell you one reason why they had to drop the QX70 and the old QX50 based on the Z platform, and I'll show you. And you know, I guess all cars have its weak points, so I'll show you the weak point on this one. Look right there, 16.2 miles per gallon. It's a little bit better than mine. I'm averaging about 15.5 in mine. In today's world, if you're buying a mid-size crossover and you're going to get 16 miles per gallon and it's not making 500 or 600 horsepower, that's a deal breaker for a lot of people with expensive gas. You know, people are expecting 20, 30 miles per gallon. That's why Infiniti had to drop the 7-speed auto and the 3.7 liter V6 and switch to a VC turbo 4-cylinder and a continuously variable transmission to able to get that better fuel efficiency, because people are going to just buy other vehicles that get a better fuel efficiency. The sad thing is more people are kind of concerned with fuel efficiency versus performance, which I understand. If I drove a lot, you know, maybe I would, you know, look at something more fuel efficient. So how did we get this one? The customers actually bought a new Tesla Model Y. We actually buy a lot of pre-owned vehicles, even pre-owned Teslas, from people buying new Teslas, also with Rivians. The thing with Rivian and Tesla, you know, I don't know about Rivian for used vehicles, used Rivians, but Rivian and Tesla, they're an EV company, so they're not really equipped to take used gas-powered cars and trade, put them through the shop and sell them on their lot like a dealership like us. They're pretty much in business selling new cars. You know, Tesla sells a handful of, you know, used Teslas, but for the most part, they're in the business of selling new cars. So basically, if you trade in a used car, Tesla and Rivian, they're just going to take it to the auction, and, you know, they'll say, hey, this is the trade-in value, and if people don't like it, they're like, well, you know, well, we have someone else who wants to buy this car. So, you know, obviously Tesla and Rivian are having issues selling their vehicles, so they don't need to step up for their trade-ins. But for us, for an Infiniti store, a product like this is gold. So we definitely give the customers more money than Tesla was giving them, you know, as a trade-in value. So they sold it to us, and we're so happy to have it, and maybe you'll be happy to be the next owner of this vehicle. All right, I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but there's so much to talk about. So we went over the interior of this vehicle. Let's go over the exterior. So we have these aluminum pedals, those nice supportive seats. You can see the original color is silver. I bet the color, the paint underneath is in great shape, but this wrap looks fantastic. We have tinted windows, and then there's those upgraded 21-inch black wheels that come with the sport package, and then these are normally chrome, and with the sport package, those are now accented in black. Looks really cool. Love the front end styling. I love the whole styling in general with the QX70. Our family calls it Sharky. Kind of looks like a shark. That's the name of our QX70, I guess, or FX37 is Sharky. We name all our vehicles, and it's a good name. And you know, going back to fuel efficiency for us, it's actually funny. I have a Tesla myself, but you know, for me, I do most of the commuting, so I commute in the Tesla to save on gas, and we keep the mileage down on our FX37 because I want to keep this for a long time. It's a classic Infiniti product, and I want to work for Infiniti for another 20 years. So 20 years from now, I still want to have my FX37 and have a real classic Infiniti. So I want to keep the miles down on it. Luckily, my wife drives the FX37 primarily, and she works from home, so we don't have to drive that often, and we're not too worried about the 15.5 miles per gallon. This engine, the 3.7 liter V6, also known as the VQ37, has evolved from the legendary VQ35 engine. Don't take my word for it, do some homework. You can find lots of amazing accolades on these engines. They're known to run 200, 300,000 miles. They're known to be almost bulletproof. They're known to be one of the best V6s ever made or sold in America. In the QX70, it makes 325 horsepower. That's a lot of power, naturally aspirated. You have a maintenance-free timing chain, so you never need to worry about the cost of replacement of timing belts. And over my 20 years working for Infiniti, I've seen variations of these engines, the 3.5 with 300 plus thousand miles on them, and I've seen 3.7s with over 200,000 miles still running strong. Amazing engines. And also with the sport package, these roof rails are normally chrome, but they're also accented in black. Decent amount of rear seat space. The rear seats also recline, making this thing fairly comfortable. Beautiful styling. We have the rear exiting exhaust. You can also see this is accented in black as well. Power rear liftgate. You can fold down the rear seats for even more cargo space. Still even has the factory plastic on these handles right there. And here's an amazing packaging from Infiniti. So this has a Bose sound system. The Bose subwoofer is actually inside the spare tire to maximize space. And by the way, this has a great sounding audio system. I'm a musician, I love music, and I'm always happy to connect my phone. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you can wirelessly connect your phone via Bluetooth and stream music. It's an amazing audio system. All right, let's get behind the wheel and take it for a spin around the block. All right, here we go, taking this 2016 Infiniti QX70 out for a spin with a sport package. Always a welcome thing for me to being behind the wheel of a QX70. I feel right at home. Obviously, it's almost the same as my FX37, which I've had for the last couple of years. Thinking back to 2004 when I first walked into an Infiniti showroom, interviewing and eventually getting a job there, one of the first vehicles I fell in love with that really pulled up my heartstrings was the original FX series, the FX35 and the FX45. It was actually a dream for me back then in my early 20s, which I couldn't afford a brand new, $50,000 Infiniti. It was one of my dreams to have one of these vehicles. So, it wasn't a brand new one, but luckily, eventually that dream came true, even though it was like 17 years later with an FX37. But yeah, I had a lot of exposure driving these things, and the more time I spent in them, doing dealer trades, if I had, my choice of vehicle to drive, I'd always take an FX35, FX45. A lot of times, the manager would have a demo, and these were popular vehicles at the time for managers to drive. So I've had a lot of time behind the wheel of these things. They're very well built, very few issues. Obviously, all cars can have issues, but these things, just in my experience, they tend to be very, very well built. You see very few major issues with these things. They are rock solid. Sound really nice. You have that 3.7 liter V6 pumped out through a low restriction dual exhaust system. I have the sunroof open a little bit just so I can hear some of that V6 music. I can open up a little bit on the highway. Even though this has a stiff suspension, going over bumps and stuff like that, it's still very comfortable. It doesn't beat you up, doesn't jar the kidneys, but it's a very, very pleasant vehicle, and it's absolutely joy to drive in the corners. You have this amazing suspension. It's built in the advanced Romanship platform, also shared with the Z, so it's a platform that's focused on as perfect weight distribution as possible to improve handling. And then you have this amazing Tesla all-wheel drive system that enhances performance and also makes this thing great in the snow. I've driven lots of Infinitis, including my FX37 in the snow, and they do amazing. Oh, look at this guy here. No issue at all. Getting up to 60 miles an hour, just closing the sunroof. 0 to 60, a little over 6 seconds, top speed 140 miles an hour, right around there. Amazing performance figures for a vehicle like this, and absolutely, and also very reliable. Whenever I post videos of the QX70 or FX series on YouTube, by far they're some of our most popular videos, usually getting tens of thousands of views. We have about 8,000 subscribers on our YouTube page, and I have thousands of videos. The QX70 always tends to be a favorite. So even though the QX70 is out of production and it was kind of phased out by the new QX50, it definitely remains a cult classic, and I think it will continue to be so over the years. I mean, people seem to really love this vehicle, and a new generation of young drivers, they're kind of finding out about it, and they're chomping at the bit to get a nice used example, maybe like this, or even one with over 100,000 miles that was well cared for. It can be a fantastic vehicle. I have no doubt that a nice example like this with a caring owner could easily get 200 and even 300,000 miles out of it. I've had you know, people comment on our YouTube page with older versions of the FX saying that they have you know, or on our Facebook page saying that they're still driving some with over 400,000 miles on them. These things are very, very well built. Don't take my word for it. You can do a little research and find out yourself. If you want an amazing Japanese built performance SUV that's on par with like a Porsche Macan, but I would say better, you know, reliability, better build quality, in my opinion. But I do, you know, I've been in the car business a while, Infiniti 20 years, so as a used car manager, I see vehicles go through the shop, I see how they hold up. And so every car we take in trade, every car I purchase for the dealership that we need to put in the front line, I need to see the health report. I need to see the used vehicle inspection. Which cars are leaking oil? Which cars are you know, steering racks go bad? I see it all, and I can tell you, generally, you know, made in Japan cars, you know, at least gas cars, they tend to be some of the most reliable ones out there, even when they get older, past 100,000 miles. No car is a sure bet, you know. You know, cars can have issues, but, you know, I think you're making a great bet on a pre-owned vehicle, especially one kind of like this. If you get an FX37 / QX70, or even the older FX series, are fantastic vehicles. That pretty much sums up our little drive in this 2016 QX70. Hopefully it was informative, regardless if you're looking at this specific one or just information in general. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day.